Oh, the intro didn't play. Oh, well. All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I'll give a couple minutes for everyone to join. And yes, if you want to let us know where you're watching from, I'll do a few shout outs. And the main topic for today is the storm, the Kona Low that hit Hawaii this past weekend. And then I'm going to go into some of the implications, the beginnings of the storm, what makes it a little different from previous ones, and how it ties into I guess some redevelopment plans that have been in the works for some time, at least for about almost 3 years now. And I have some documentation that I can show. Okay, so South Florida. Oh no, I missed some. Hilo. Oh, good. Yeah, I hope people from the Big Island are here because that's mainly the area that I'm going to be talking about today. Finger Lakes, New York. Puna got smashed. I'll put a map up of the Big Island. I don't really know the Big Island too well. I am from Oahu, so I'll put a map up in a second. Honolulu. I spent a lot of time there. I went to school there. That's where my dad's side of the family is for the most part. Manoa. I'm very familiar with Manoa. I went to school there. Ohio. Northeast Pennsylvania. South Florida. The island of Hawaii. And for those less familiar with Hawaii, Hawaii is the name of the Big Island. So I might use it interchangeably, but generally people from Hawaii call Hawaii the Big Island. Okay, Sacramento. Hi, Eileen. I haven't seen you for a bit. Okay. Any more? Viking Irish. K-Owl, Big Island. Yeah, emergency, declaration of emergency. I'll go over that a little bit. Okay. Oh, Haleiwa. I'm from not too far from, well, no, kind of far, but I've been to Haleiwa a number of times. Central Coast, California, Colorado, Wyoming border. Kihei. I'll be showing footage from Kihei today, I think. Oh, you haven't been well. I'm sorry, Eileen, but I hope you're feeling better. I miss your comments and your messages. Okay, so let's get started. I will come back to the comments and questions. So, if you want to leave questions or, especially if you're in Hawaii and you have some information that you think is important, you can put them in the chat and I'll try to get to them. Kia ora, New Zealand. Okay, and someone has a huge downed tree in their driveway. I think an over 100-year-old tree. K-ow. All right. So thank you all for being here. I'll start out with some background for those who haven't been following the storm. So they call this a Kona Low. It's not a hurricane and it's not just a storm. And Shane's going to go into, kind of what that entails and why it's different from a hurricane. But that, yeah, massive flooding on the Big Island, Maui, Oahu. That's mainly the areas that I've seen that have gotten affected. But I believe it is affecting the entire island. Okay, and here's some footage. This is from Wahiawa. This is the is Wahiawa leeward side of Oahu? I think so. So, in general, on Oahu, the leeward side doesn't get as much rain in general. The windward side tends to be windier and rainier, but it seems like that the wind and the rain affected the leeward side first and then carried on to the eastern side of the island. So the windward side is east and the leeward side, at least for Oahu, is more west.
Water covers an estimated 50 acres of farmland and residential homes in Waialua.
Man, carnage. That's what I would say, carnage.
Residents say the flooding on Olohio Street hasn't happened in maybe 30 years. They say the stream bed nearby hasn't been maintained and just couldn't handle the massive amount of runoff.
The ocean is done by Corps of Engineers. Dole Plantation did the agricultural. The stream is city and county. The bridge is city and county and state. And they just need to talk because this will happen every time if we don't get it fixed.
What can we do? Nothing, really, now. There could have been some things done before, but yeah, that's all in the past. What can you do?
The farmers down the road say they lost their crops. Papaya, coconut, lemon, all submerged in chest-high water. They used paddleboards to go back and save their horses and whatever else they could.
Oh, that we're going to lose like a lot of money. We're going to lose a lot of money up in there. So, I don't know what we're going to do, you know?
At Otake Camp, the water level receded and left a muddy mess on the dirt roads. The rain was sporadic all over the island. The combination of rain and wind knocked down branches and trees everywhere. In Wahiawa, this massive tree crashed onto a house.
Okay, so Hawaii is no stranger to storms, but when I lived there till the late 90s. There were mainly hurricanes as far as like the bigger events. Tsunamis and hurricanes is normally what we would kind of be worried about. But we have this fairly newer phenomenon called a Kona Low. So it seems like a Kona Low is marked with more precipitation and not as much wind. But there was the high surf and the winds did really affect the islands this time. And then here's just some satellite imagery from the storm.
Came into our newsroom from Maui. Let's take a look. This is from Iao Valley. A Maui couple says that they watched helplessly as fast rising water in the Iao Valley chewed away at their ground beneath their home, sending parts of the structure into the stream during the storm. This video that you're seeing is the garage falling into the water. Homeowners Tom and Carrie Bashaw said that they have been monitoring the stream in stormy conditions on Friday. The rooms were swallowed by the stream, and then the video that you're seeing is the garage collapsing into the water. So again, very impactful. That's why we've been sounding the alarm with this storm since last week, that it was going to be so impactful. Heavy rainfall over the central portions of the state, and it's starting to shift further eastward. Let's just get into the latest data and show you what's going on out there on our first alert radar and satellite. You can see a bulk of the moisture out there, again, is out over Maui. We're actually seeing a little bit of a lull over on Molokai and Lanai as the overall band is shifting further eastward. Again, what's been so dangerous about this storm is it's been pulling up all of this moisture from the south and southwest. Again, the development of these storms has been happening off to the southwest of each island, and the overall movement of the storms has been off to the northeast. So you're just seeing continuous rainfall over parts of the state. Last night during our live on the H&N YouTube channel, we were showing you rainfall rates over in Kihei, closer to 4 inches of rainfall per hour. And again, the infrastructure here is just not capable to deal with that kind of flooding. And taking a look, it's starting to really impact parts of Hawaii Island. Most of the rainfall, the heaviest rainfall has been falling on the Kona side of the Big Island near the Kohala coast, and also over near the Ka'u and Puna side of Hawaii Island. Even some thunderstorms over Puna right now, getting closer to just south of Hilo. Let's actually take the lightning off and go to the latest satellite radar scan, and take a look at what's coming down in parts of Puna out there. Just over 1.5 inches per hour in some of these cells. So heavy rainfall coming down, and starting to see that creep up closer to Hilo. The current alerts that we have up, a flood watch is up state.
Okay, so in a second, I'm gonna have Shane go into like the more scientific aspect of this storm and compare it to previous ones. And if you're new here, I tend to report information, make connections, and make speculations that mainstream networks won't. So I'm not part of the Meteorological Society, so I'm not bound by um, rules and gag orders and things like that, which they are. So here you're going to hear things that, if you haven't been following me, they're newer concepts, but I think very important nonetheless. So Shane, do you want to share some of the information you found on this storm?
Okay, sure. I'm not sure. I was busy with the chat. I'm not sure if you talked about the term Kona Low yet.
Not yet.
Okay, so I'll just introduce this. There's a term called Kona Low, which is a relatively new term. I think it was very first introduced sometime after 2004, and it didn't really come into regular use until after 2010. So I would say the last 15 or 16 years is really the only time we've heard that term, Kona Low. And that's what this allegedly is. It's a Kona Low, which is sometimes produced by a low pressure area. So this is a low pressure area to the north of the island chain, which is causing a pressure gradient, which is pulling the wind from the south towards the north. And this would be a pull Kona. There's another type of Kona called a push Kona, where you'd have a high pressure to the south pushing the air north as well. But yeah, so in this case, you can see there's a low pressure to the north there, which is kind of pulling the air. And you can see this track or like conveyor belt of wind kind of funneling right through the islands towards that low pressure area. Now, the other day, it was actually more aligned with the low pressure than it is there, but you can still see the effect. All right. So that's kind of what's pulling the air in that direction. Because normally you have with a hurricane that comes from usually the south, you will have wind generally from the south, but depending on the position of the hurricane, the wind could be different directions. All right, but generally the Kona winds are to the north. All right, and I do have a little bit more to show as far as this particular storm goes. So you do have sort of a conveyor belt funneling air over the islands, but it also was very wet air as well. So I want to show some more satellite images of these plumes of convection that are just to the southwest of the island chain, kind of south of Kauai there. And you see these plumes coming off of the surface. I'll show this one more time so that you can see the approximate location of these plumes. Now, this is the low level water vapor images. So these are the surface level water vapor. So this is coming off of the surface of the ocean. So I looked out on the ocean to see if there was anything there on the surface. And I did find some normal bunker ships like I typically will find. Those are the ones in the red triangles. But there is also a line of these gray dots, which I typically don't see. You usually see a blue triangle or a red triangle. But this one is gray. And there's a whole line of like 6 of them there. They all have like numbers for their names, which is a little bit odd. But they all also have like no reported destination, except for this one here, which the destination says, "We go on Mars." And I found that to be really odd. I've never seen a destination like that before. And this one is actually sitting pretty much idle in that plume at 0.2 knots. That's a very slow pace. It would be very easy to outwalk a ship that's moving at that speed. So anyway, I dug into this a little bit more, and I found out that it is some type of fuel tanker. I'm not sure if it's like a bunker ship or not, but there is very little information on this ship, and it has given no updates for over 2,000 days. So that's about 6 years ago. The last time it sent an update was in 2020, but I did find it active in that region. So a little bit more digging, I was able to find a picture of this ship. It is called Friend Ship, which is a strange name, but it does look like it is a fuel tanker of some sort. So this is a tanker ship. I can't be certain that it's a bunker ship, but it is a fuel tanker of some sort. I dug a little bit deeper into this ship, and it does show the destination here. We go on Mars, and there's very little information The only other information I could find was the call sign, which I found equally weird, which was 8675309, which, if anyone's familiar with that old song, that's a reference to the song. So I almost feel like maybe we're being rickrolled or something here when it comes to these ships. Now, back during Jamaica, Hurricane Melissa, we also found an autonomous bunker ship loitering within the plumes of that storm as well. So we're just finding really weird anomalies, not just with the weather itself, but with the ships that are loitering in the area too.
What was that number? That number you said? It's the ID or
Well, so there's a call sign. The call sign for this
call
ship,
sign?
675309.
Okay.
Right there in
I
the
just did
middle.
look in the middle.
Yeah.
And then I know there's a song. I just can't. Oh, 867. That's like a phone number that was in a 90s song.
It's like 80s or 90s song, I believe. Yeah.
Okay. I think I know what you're talking about. Maybe before my time. Okay. And then I just wanted to show how so I guess maybe the last big hurricane that affected the islands. I'm not sure, but I'm going to show some of Hurricane Lane. Now, Hurricane Lane, I'll show it didn't quite hit the islands, but here's the pattern. So it was about to hit. I think they thought it was going to hit the islands straight on, but then it veered to the west. So I wasn't there during this time, so I'm not too familiar with how it affected it, but I know the islands did get affected. And it is different from the direction of this previous storm in that that one heads west, whereas this Kona Low headed east. Is that right?
North.
Just north?
It was almost predominantly north. I would say northeast was the predominant direction of the wind.
The way the storm like trended.
You're talking about this current storm?
Yes.
The storm trended almost due northeast.
Okay, I have one more. Maybe I could see it better in this one. Here's another forecast.
Now, we still are dealing with some very strong winds. We're talking statewide, right? Wind gusts could be upwards of 50 miles an hour in these shaded areas. That means there's still a possibility for more downed trees, more debris on the road, and sadly, there's a chance for more power outages. And then for Haleakala, Mauna Kea, Mauna Loa, those upper elevation spots, there's a high wind warning on. They could get wind gusts upwards of 100 miles an hour. Mauna Kea has already recorded winds of 100 miles an hour today. So it's definitely still a rough ride out.
Oh, that was the wrong one. Here, this is the one I think shows it.
Came into our newsroom from Maui. Let's take a look. This is from Iao Valley. A Maui couple says that they watched helplessly as fast rising water in the Iao Valley chewed away at their ground beneath their home, sending parts of the structure into the stream during the storm. This video that you're seeing is the garage falling into the water. Homeowners Tom and Carrie Bashaw said that they have been monitoring the stream and stormy conditions on Friday. The rooms were swallowed by the stream, and then the video that you're seeing is the garage collapsing into the water. So again, very impactful. That's why we've been sounding the alarm with this storm since last week, that it was going to be so impactful. Heavy rainfall over the central portions of the state, and it's starting to shift further eastward. Let's just get into the latest data and show you what's going on out there on our first alert radar and satellite. You can see a bulk of the moisture out there, again, is out over Maui. We're actually seeing a little bit of a lull over on Molokai and Lanai as the overall band is shifting further eastward. Again, what's been so dangerous about this storm is it's been pulling up all of this moisture from the south and southwest. Again, the development of these storms has been happening off to the southwest of each island, and the overall movement of the storms has been off to the northeast. So you're just seeing continuous rainfall over parts of the state. Last night during our live on the HNN YouTube.
Okay, so that's what I meant. This one originated from the southwest, whereas the hurricanes originate from the southeast, right? Anyways, when I was looking at the different trends, I noticed it's little different. Maybe that's why it's called something different. But I did want to point that out. And then did you want to elaborate on this image?
Oh yeah. So yeah, just to compare this Kona storm to other storms, Hurricane Helene dumped an unprecedented 30 inches of rain on Busick, North Carolina in a 24-hour period. And that was just beat on Mount Haleakala, where they got 32 inches in a 24-hour period. So Haleakala got more rain in a 24-hour period than Hurricane Helene was capable of dropping. So that is a lot of rain, more than Helene.
Okay. So would you say unprecedented? At
Absolutely.
least, right. So
Yeah.
unprecedented rainfall for Hawaii this past few days. So I did want to touch on this development that has been in the works for at least a few years on the Big Island. So someone sent a tip on some of the discussions going on. And so this is just pertaining to the Big Island, but we've done, if you're newer here, we've done many videos on these so-called redevelopment plans. And this is a word that I've been told prevents my content from getting pushed through. So this is something that we're seeing being developed all over the world, but very, I would say there's a very strong push for this change in Hawaii. And we discussed this in detail after Lahaina, after the fire there. But there's a lot of information that I didn't know about regarding the Big Island and the plans to change the infrastructure and change the way people live on the Big Island. Okay, and then I'll put this, and this really made me so proud to hear about this meeting that took place. It took place 16 days after the Lahaina fire. And it was like a redevelopment plan, like a town hall. So the mayor and one of his representatives for redevelopment was there. Her name is Frecia Ceballos, and this is Mayor Roth. He's no longer the mayor. He is in the financial sector now. But there was a meeting August 24th, and here's a little of the transcript. And so people showed up and confronted these people with this term of a smart city. So I'll put a link to this document in the description if you want to read it again. But basically, people showed up to this meeting and asked, because of what happened on Maui, are we talking about a 15-minute area or a SMART city? And the woman was like, I don't know, like basically acted dumb. And the people there, they were actually clapping when that question was asked. I wish I did a still of that. But she basically said, oh, I don't know what you guys are talking about. I'm sorry. And I would say I can't imagine why she wouldn't know, because she's involved with plans in Brazil. And I have a clip here. I'm a little worried that the music might be copyrighted, but I'm going to have to show you some of the promotional videos that have been out for this area or these cities picked in Brazil. Oh, and then, the reason I wanted to bring this up is because the Big Island, this one, the Big Island was chosen to be in this Cities Forward program. So the County of Hawaii was selected as one of the 12 U.S. municipalities to participate in the prestigious Cities Forward program. So, there's a lot about these cities. If you're not familiar with it, please go to some of my previous content. We go into detail of like what the goals of these plans are for. It's, sustainability, resilience, just, bringing areas into kind of like small, like basically kind of corralling people into smaller areas. And what they don't say is that technology will be implemented so there's mass surveillance. So every time you step out of your door, there'll be cameras. Wherever your car goes, that will be tracked. And I know in my area, I'm seeing signs of something called geofencing. So these sensors, and they're calling it marketing devices, so that like if someone from a certain area enters a zone, they could market better to that person. So that's kind of how they're how they're presenting this new technology. But I do think going forward, they will expand the use of geofencing and use it for other things. I'll leave it at that. And this program that is starting in Hawaii is in partnership with Fortaleza, Brazil. So they're kind of using them as kind of like a point city, and there's a point person. That's the Miss Ceballos. She is an appointee of the ex-Mayor Roth. She's kind of the point person that's spearheading this project or these projects. So this is public information. It was announced some time ago. But what makes this meeting so important to someone like me and Shane is that I feel like after Lahaina, there was so much noise about these cities. So when it was time for the Big Island to have their town hall meeting, people that was fresh on their minds, and they came to this meeting and they voiced their displeasure that this type of thing was happening to their island. And then later on, there was an attempt to get more information on this. And let me see here. Okay, so here's some more on the Fortaleza development in Brazil. It's a hub of smart housing developments, and there may be as many as 6, and it's considered a smart city. The company is called Planet Smart City, so they're the ones that are, getting this, done. And there were attempts to obtain records from the County of Hawaii Research and Development about the program, and they were ignored. So in 2025, when asked again, the deputy director informed us they were wiping all of the information off the website, and they did so that afternoon. So to me, this is really good news. And to me, this is how I see this. So, I think the only way that these plans are going to be successful and roll out the way they want is that they have to keep a lot of this hidden. If we all knew exactly what these plans entailed, there would be a lot of outcry, and there has been. And I think before Lahaina, they didn't realize people would be onto them, and it would be seen as a good thing. And, there are some good things about it, but there are a lot of very bad things. And in America, we value our privacy, we value our freedom, and, we value not being surveilled. I don't think anyone likes the idea of our everyday activities recorded and stored somewhere. And this is happening, without our consent. But I think what happened was, the officials realized that people were onto it, and then they erased whatever documentation they had. But I'm going to show a very detailed article about this plan. Okay, that's a transcript. Oh, this is the other. Okay, I'm going to show the plan for the Big Island. That, you know what? I'll show it actually now, and I'll come back to the proclamation. Because this plan, it seems like it's still in effect, because on March 4th, so just, was that 10 days ago, the County of Hawaii filed this very long, detailed document. And, I didn't have time to go through it and really get a good feel for what's entailed in this. Can you guys see it? Shane, can you see it on screen, or am I?
We do see it. It's it's legible.
Okay. The other version is actually worse. So the person that is the council member, her name is Ashley Kirkiewicz. So she's kind of like spearheading this plan. And if you guys want, I can go through this and give you guys a better idea. But look at the dates. General plan 2026 to 2045. So this is the time frame that they're looking at to, I guess, achieve these things. And so some of the topics that they are going to address is public services and facilities, public utilities, housing, transportation, and land use. So that's why I'm bringing this up when talking about this storm, because when there is a big disaster, they often will change the way land is used. And we saw that very blatantly after Lahaina. They started to change the zoning laws. And actually, it was Governor Green changed those before the fire happened. And I'm going to show you shortly how he did something similar for this disaster. But, if you guys want, you can put in the chat if you want me to dig into this more. It will take me some time, but I will, if you want, if you guys find it valuable, I could go through this document and find things that I think are worth discussing, like this, like here, the land use map. So this is not a zoning map, but I don't know, what is it? What are these changes? What are they trying to do? And what are the timelines they're looking at? So I did want to share that. And now I will show the emergency proclamation that Governor Green put in place right before this storm. So I'm going to share screen again. Okay, can you guys see this? Can you see that, Shane? Yeah.
Yeah, we can. You might be able to zoom a little if you hit control and scroll up. Or that too. Yeah.
Is that good right there?
Works. Yeah, that's good.
Okay. So the date. Okay, so he put this in place, I think like the week before the storm hit. And I think before Lahaina, it was like, so Lahaina happened on the 8th of August. I believe it was July 24th of that year where he did something similar. I might be wrong, but I think like 3 weeks before Lahaina, he did this emergency proclamation. So basically, he suspended laws, and he says this is to, aid with the emergency response, and to help, of course, to help the people of Hawaii recover. But they do sneak in all sorts of things. And again, if you want me to dig into this a little more, I will. But I'll link this document. It's not that long. It's 4 pages. And actually, Michelle Melendez does a good breakdown of this. So I'll put a little note to link her video on the proclamation. So with Lahaina, so many people were aware of this. They made a big stink about it, and he ended up having to change it like many times because I think he thought no one would realize it, and he was wrong because, certain channels such as mine, we made sure as many people knew. And so, people spoke up and said, no, you can't make these changes. You can't change zoning without discussing this with the people. So, so this goes through till the 18th. So I think that's like 6 more days. So I would like to say I'm going to keep up with everything that happens politically in Hawaii. Who has time to really, keep up with every bill, every change that happens in government? But I'll just guess that there are things in here that are not necessarily in the best interest of the people in Hawaii. Okay. So, Shane, can you remind me to link those two? I put a note to link Michelle's, but those 2 documents I think are really important.
Which docs?
Okay. The emergency proclamation from Governor Green that he did like 2 weeks ago, and then
okay.
the update on the Big Island plans.
Okay. I did want to also add that Maui, Senator Angus McKelvey on Maui has reintroduced some bills. One of them has to do with water rights, and he probably will also reintroduce the land bill again as well. So it might not be called 3381. You might want to look out for a different name, but they are going to reintroduce those bills soon.
Okay. And a little background, if you're not familiar with what they try to do after Lahaina, they tried to establish a board of 9 people that were going to oversee all of the development of West Maui. And there was all sorts of things in this bill that was going to just really make things very much in the favor of the government. I think one of them was like, these 9 people could take any gift, small or big, financial or physical, just really outrageous things. But people found out and showed up to the meeting and said, no, we don't agree with this. And they didn't instill, it was called the Lele community. It was like a board of 9 people that were going to make all these decisions. But is that what you're saying is going to be pushed through again?
So he has introduced a water rights bill kind of like a water grab type thing. But then the SB 3381 will be reintroduced, but probably under a different name. So be on the lookout.
Okay, and that was the board of 9 people. We're gonna.
Yeah, that was that one.
Okay. Okay, so yeah, I mean, that's why I wanted to put this out as soon as possible, because if these things just get pushed through and no one knows about it, which is what they're hoping no one notices, they'll just make these laws and just do whatever they want with this area that has been devastated. And what we saw in Maui is they just assume that people are going to be, so devastated. They'll be so emotionally like kind of tied up in their loss that they're just not going to really care about what's going to happen. And so that's why I try to, make as much of these types of videos to bring awareness to people. So if you know someone that has been affected by this storm, please share this information, share this video. And I think if enough people know and enough people care, it will make it very difficult to get these bills and plans through. Okay.
I just wanted to also add, I did say that it was unprecedented earlier to receive that much rain. What I guess I meant was to receive that much rain across the entire island chain. You have had events like, say, on Kauai in the last 20 years where they have received more rain than that. But, across the entire island chain, these are really high averages for the last 20 plus years.
Yeah. And it's possible that some of these vessels could have been, or this vessel, this friendship vessel could have maybe contributed to that. Is that possible, or maybe not?
I find that to be extremely likely, if not probable.
Okay, and we're talking about this.
Yeah.
This one.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that one. Mm-hmm. Go
Sorry,
ahead.
go ahead.
What were you going to say?
This is an old image, right? So it doesn't necessarily look like this. 2016.
It doesn't necessarily look like that. Yeah, that's an older image from 2016, and I haven't been able to find any information on this since 2020. It has given like 0 updates other than pinging its location, and the location pings you can see here. Like the last update is over 6 years ago, 2020, basically. But I did find it in that location at that time. Yep, there it is.
And I don't know if this "we go on Mars" is that just like they couldn't think of something, or did they think someone like us would find it? What do you think?
I don't know if that's just meant to be a joke, or because there really is no destination listed there other than "we go on Mars," and that's not a realistic destination. And so I almost kind of took it as like a joke. And then when I saw the call sign 867-5309, then it kind of tipped me off that we were basically being like rickrolled there. Yeah, so there's the 867-5309 call sign. So to me, putting those two things together, "we go on Mars," 867-5309, and it doesn't seem to have, any destination or any information, especially for the last 5 years. So it almost looks like we're getting rickrolled in a way.
Who operates this vessel? Do we know?
It's the United States of America. I could do some more digging and look into the actual owners of the vessel to find out more information.
Okay. Yeah, or maybe they just figured no one would notice, and they had to put something. So
I don't know. Yeah, they probably figured that very few people would notice. They probably didn't anticipate someone like me putting 2 and 2 together.
Yeah. Okay, and then I'll give a little bit more information. And someone did send me these tips, so thank you. I don't know if they want to be identified, but you know who you are. Sent me a lot of information on the situation on the Big Island, and here's some just some background on the mayor who introduced this redevelopment plan. His name is Roth. So Mitch Roth. And he was a practicing attorney before he became mayor, but now he is the of Central Pacific Bank. He is the CEO. What was his title? Senior Vice President of the Pacific region of Pacific Bank. So he was a prosecuting attorney for Hawaii, became mayor, and now he's the Central Pacific Bank's VP for the Hawaii Island region. So he's in charge of the bank. And again, if you want me to dig more, I have a lot more information on him and his connections with the current politicians, the current administration. There's a lot of information. I just didn't have time to get it ready for today. But did people put in the comments they want to know more? I could put something together. I just wasn't sure how much interest there would be. Okay, someone please dig into this and the 326 proposed changes. What are the 326 proposed changes? I'm not sure what those changes are, but I have the information for I know I've already said this for the Big Island that I haven't shared yet. So I'll look at the chat later. If you're watching this after the live, put in the comments if this is a topic that you want to hear more about. And I could probably put that together like by the end of the week. Okay, and then, for those that I know most of my viewers are very familiar with these cities and what they entail, but I have one clip here and I hope it doesn't get copyrighted. The music it doesn't sound copyrighted, but these are the promo videos from Brazil. And this is the company that is in charge of the project on the Big Island. So this is kind of gives you a taste of what they're trying to do. So this promo is pretty old. It was before people started to wake up. But I'm really hoping this plan of theirs and I'll put this. This is a word I've been told not to say. I'm hoping that means these people are really desperate. I think at this point they see their plan kind of slipping through their fingers, and I think they have to try to adjust for the new branding, the new marketing plan. And I'm sure they've been doing that. And so I'm not sure what that's going to look like, but I'm really hoping enough people understand what this entails. And there's a really good documentary. It's called Agenda 2030. I did a very small, quick synopsis on Agenda 2030 and what they're really going to be doing, not what the promos are telling you. And I'll put a lot of links. Link to Agenda 2030. I'll put a link to that documentary so you could get more information. And something that I found in my research is that, you know what, I'll save this for another video. I made a correlation between the hurricane in 2023 during the Lahaina fire and the hurricane in 2018 during the previous, I'm not sure if it's exactly.
There was a Lahaina fire during the Hurricane Lane event as well.
Yeah, I didn't, maybe I did know that, but I didn't remember. But I think that's a very odd coincidence. So yeah, Lane, the 24th of August, 2018, and August 8th, 2023, a Hurricane Dora was off the coast of Hawaii. So anyways, just a little food for thought. I'm starting to put a lot more together, like connecting a lot more dots. And there seems to be a lot of coincidences with these natural disasters that we've been seeing. So I'll get to some comments and questions. I know I missed a super chat. Oh, Skid Operator, thank you for the super. And they didn't have anything to say. Just wanted to send some support. Update on Puna cell service is up and running better than ever. It clobbered the North Glenwood cell tower near Kilauea volcano. It's been iffy for years. This storm got crews out there fast. So I guess that's a good sign that they got it fixed fast. They shut down schools and everything now. Every time we get storms, it's prep for coming climate lockdowns. The golf ball left Pearl Harbor a few weeks ago. So if you're not familiar, I'm sorry, what?
I saw that actually. I don't have anything to show for it right now, but it did leave the harbor a few weeks ago and it headed south. So it would be in the right position to do what it does.
Okay, and that's this big globe that sits on a big ship.
Yeah, that's the SBX-1 phased array. It's supposed to be a radar array for the Missile Defense Agency, and it allegedly has over-the-horizon radar, so it can detect missiles thousands of miles away, among other things.
Do you think it was on the Friendship?
Not on the Friendship, no.
No.
I do believe it was in the general vicinity where those other ships were loitering
Maybe
as well.
it's stuck to one ship.
Okay. Well, no, it is its own ship.
Okay.
It does move very slowly, but it did leave a few weeks ago and head south, which would put it in that general area where the other ships were also at.
Okay. So that globe is only on one ship.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll just put some of these up. Oprah 3.0 bought my friend's ranch and client's house. Also has a very bad rep on Maui. Yeah, I know we did discuss it about how much land she owns on not just Maui, but I think on the Big Island. Yeah, you know, I really do. I don't know everything about it, but there's something about Hawaii, and it's not just because it's paradise and it's beautiful and it's got amazing weather. There's another reason I think that area is so sought after. I think something will be revealed as to why Hawaii is just like, they just have to have it. Oh, Byron, thank you. Build a public bank of Hawaii. Yeah, you know, what's kind of crazy is that Hawaii has had their own they've had their own bank for a long time. I don't know if it was ever public. I know when I was living there, everyone used First Hawaiian Bank. I'm sure it's changed now with the bigger international companies. but I think if there was a place that could kind of break away from the major financial system, Hawaii would be a better place because of how it's isolated, although they're just so dependent on other things. I'm not sure how they would try to become independent. They've been forced to be dependent on for pretty much everything. I know when I lived there, we imported almost everything. There are farms and dairies, but for the most part, everything is bought. Everything bought is imported. The name of the ship, Friendship, right? Friendship.
Yeah, it was named Friendship, which is also kind of odd as well.
The friendly friendship.
Right.
It's just friendly. It's just being friendly out there. Here from Byron, Hawaiians can lobby their state legislator to build reforms over the DCCM from the governor and build a public bank of Hawaii to stop weaponizing our money and climate engineer disaster capitalism. You know, I'm really hopeful that, especially at this point, I'm really hopeful that people know. You know, if you'd asked me just 2 years ago, I would have said there's no way people are gonna be on to this, the agenda. But I'm really impressed by how many people are aware. I don't know if it's just because of what I do, but I just feel like a normie is now more open to hearing about this. And they're at least listening and agreeing that there is some sort of plan being put on us, and that it's, for the most part, it's not good. Okay, here on Maui. Yeah, Maui, Big Island, Oahu. Okay, so yeah, I'll look more into that, and then I'm not sure what the 326 proposed changes are. If you can send me a little bit more, then I'll look into it. Mahalo from the Big Island for all you do to bring out truth and facts. You're very welcome. Wayne, I appreciate everything Tracy and Shane digs into. You're welcome. Cities joined ICLEI without the public's consent or knowledge. Meanwhile, they are implementing 21, 20, 30 plans for cities. Yeah, you know, something I want to point out, which is, I think, positive, is that they keep pushing the date back. You know, they say, oh, in 2020, they're supposed to have these, or I think it was Agenda 2021. They were supposed to have all these things in place, and then it was 2030. And now it's 2026 to 2046. So it just keeps getting pushed back because, you know, what they're trying to do is really impossible. And yeah, I'm really hopeful. I wanted to give the message that, you know, if you're listening and you're aware of this and you're talking to people about it, and, you know, you're involved with the promotion of what's really going on, I think it's making a difference. And I think it is really sabotaging their plans. And I think they're at a point where they're gonna, you know, their back is against the wall. It has been, and they're gonna just try to do as much as they can, and just kind of pray that they'll be able to do what they're trying to do. But I just think there's too many people know. You guys are doing an amazing job opening eyes. Thank you. You're very welcome. Here, I'll just do a couple more. Vancouver has 15 minutes. Wow, you cannot go, like, drive more than 15. Yeah, I'm really, that's something, if, you know, I'm in a very urban area, I'm seeing a lot of infrastructure being put up that looks like that's what it's a part of. Okay, and this topic, I'll just do this one. There's a ton of unused land in Canada. There's no need for government to allow this unwanted immigration. Okay, so that the land use changes are a very big theme, and I saw a lot of it in that 2026, 2046 plan. And it was good to see that as an official document. So I do want to look into that regardless. And if I find things, I'll present it to you guys. So yeah, I think that's going to do it. Was there anything else, Shane, you wanted to say or put up?
Well, there was a question about which websites I use for the satellite imagery, and I'm not sure which one he was referring to. I use College of DuPage, NextLab Radar. I like their water vapor images. It shows a lot of stuff in there. I also use the NOAA slider, the CIRA slider at coloradostate.edu. I also use windy.com. And for the marine traffic, I use, I believe it's called marinetraffic.com. So, yeah.
Okay. And then maybe we could put some of those names for people that want to keep track of this. Is Ventuski kind of done, or is that?
No, I still use that one sometimes. Sometimes you can see certain things on Ventuski that you can't see on windy.com. But I typically will find a lot of things that you don't see elsewhere on the College of DuPage NextLab Radar or the CIRA slider at coloradostate.edu.
Okay. Yeah, so Ventuski or Ventusky, I think to me that was one of the more like user-friendly because I'm not like as good.
Yeah, I would say Ventuski and windy.com are very user-friendly.
Yeah. So I think more people are looking into this, and I think that's what we need. Okay. All right. Perfect timing. We've got an hour in, and then going forward, I'm going to, when I have time, do a shorter video of these lives. That way it's easier to share, if you're trying to get this information out. I'm going to try to make like a 20-30 minute version of this presentation. And it seems to be helping us so far. So yeah, that's going to do it. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you for all your participation, and especially for those in Hawaii. Thank you for being here and sharing your information. And, if there's something that you think, needs to be heard, please email me or put something in the comments. It does help me out. And for example, this topic, and I wasn't keeping track of this storm very closely, just because I'm, thinking about the other situations in the world. But I did get a lot of emails, a lot of messages on this, a lot. And so I knew that it was definitely worth looking into and worth putting a video out on. So yeah, with that, thank you guys so much. And I will see you all soon. And I'll plan for my next live on this Friday at 3 again. So thank you.